At the end of the season, I was able to actually say, love is truly not blind. That's what I think. You have your own opinions. This is my opinion. Love is blind. I actually just got to know about Love is Blind, a TV show, as of last week. That is the week leading up to Valentine's Day, and I was so invested in a particular season 2 of the UK Love is Blind. And well, if you're wondering why I'm just finding out about this TV show, please don't judge me, and I won't judge you. So I haven't been living under a rock, but I've kind of placed some things in higher priority, and I'm only starting to loosen up to, start watching more of TV shows and YouTube videos than actual movies, because I would rather just see a movie than watch YouTube or some series on Netflix. I don't basically watch Netflix series. This is probably the first Netflix series that I've actually watched. And yes, I know of Real Housewives of Miami, wherever, even Lagos. There is actually Real Housewives of Lagos, but I've never really been interested in any of those series. But Love is Blind is the first one I tried. How do I even describe what I felt? Because we are watching an experiment where people go in to find not just the love of their lives, or they're going in to find a possible life partner. They're going to get married. When I started watching the show, I felt like this has to be scripted and these people are just acting. I didn't feel it was real. I didn't feel it was real. But when I got to episodes 3, 4, I started to say, oh, there are some persons here that are actually getting a connection. Is that possible though, to get a connection with someone so fast and then start talking about meeting their families and getting married, spending the rest of their life together? So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, that's actually the reason for this. This is an experiment anyway, so we are going to actually find out if love is truly blind. Actually, the end of the season came with a lot of plot twists. The twist was so much. At the end of the season, I was able to actually say, love is truly not blind, which is the same thing I would have answered if you asked me that question. If you asked me if love is blind, I would tell you love is not blind, because I believe it matters to me to see that person that I'm supposed to be dating. I'm not even talking about the person I won't be getting married to. Obviously, I definitely would not consider getting married to somebody I've never seen. Even if you're sending me pictures, even if we talk on video call every day, it's quite weird for me to imagine, walking down the aisle with somebody that I probably met on my wedding day. That's crazy. So, however, the show managed to take them through kind of like a compressed version of the process. In a short amount of time, a lot was done. In a short amount of time, they not only got to talk to each other through the pods without, getting to see the other person before establishing a connection. After that, they got to see each other. And that was another step that I feel is necessary for them if they are ultimately going to make the decision of getting married in such a short period of time. They ought to see themselves at least, and then they go further to cohabiting, staying together, which is another must for me. I'm so sorry. I'm not one of those people that would say, just be where you are and he be where he is, and both of you decide from afar that you're going to be married and live in the same house. It is a lot. It is a lot. So I personally would prefer that both couples spend some time in the same space. Nobody is saying you're gonna be doing nobody is asking you to okay. But however, it's important for you to cohabit, and that's what I think. You have your own opinions. This is my opinion. So they had that part as well, and then you get to see the couples that were having frictions, frictions concerning different things like food, choice of food to eat. One person is like, I won't have cake, and the other is like, that's 300 calories. It was quite interesting to see how these couples were able to navigate life together in such a short period of time. But the twist at the end, I would have never guessed that twist was going to come. We had people that were sure of each other, people that were telling their families that, oh, I'm so sure that this person, we have a lot in common and all of that. We have people like that get to the altar and say, no, I think we need more time. And then we have these couples that actually were able to make a connection from the start, despite it being a bit dramatic. I'm talking about Kieran and Megan. Kieran in the start made a connection with two people and ended up, choosing one out of the two ladies. He chose Megan over the other lady. And I didn't know how to feel, because I know Megan is such a bright person, and she's always filled with joy and laughter and all of that. I definitely would love a lady like that over the more reserved, over the other lady that's more reserved. So I was actually quite surprised that he didn't just go to the show to actually look for, a girl and just date and just catch flings and catch feelings and all of that. Kieran actually went to that show looking for a wife. He was so invested in Megan. He was super happy anytime he's being pictured with Megan. As a matter of fact, judging from only Kieran and Megan's love story, you can conclude that love is actually blind. But when you take a look at the bigger picture, then you see it's actually not blind, because we have people like Ashley and the military guy that were not able to get over their past lives. Billy actually had bad experiences with dating, flight crew or cabin crew and air hostesses. He had that in his past, and he came into the show actually saying he's not going to be dating anyone or getting married to anyone in a cabin crew. And fate brought him to Ashley, who is a cabin crew manager, and she was just dazzling and everything, and she was actually a very lovable person. I truly liked her in that season, and I actually thought both of them would be able to get a clear grounds on how better to navigate life, owing to the fact that he's had bad experiences in the past. I felt they were going to be able to move past that. And then you have Billy saying I do to her at the altar, only to break up with her 3 months after being married, for the same reason that he's not able to balance out the lifestyle. It was super heartbreaking, and somehow I feel like the ladies coming into that show are coming in with clear intentions. They were actually coming in to get married. They were ready to make a connection. They were coming with an open heart and all of that. And I feel some of the guys were actually coming to just vibe, coming to play around. They were coming to, see what we've got in store here. They just wanted to explore their options. And that's painful, but sometimes it is what it is. Sometimes that's what you get in the real life as well. So that is exactly why I feel it's actually not going to be a sensible thing to meet somebody and get married to them within a month, because a lot can happen. You may need some time to get to know someone, at least 3 months to get to know someone before taking the decision on if you are going to, spend the rest of your life with that person. And that's exactly what we got to see on the show. I would totally recommend for you to watch this show. It's very interesting. I would go ahead to binge watch other seasons of Love is Blind. I hope they're as interesting as Love is Blind UK, because they have Love is Blind Brazil, Love is Blind the US, and all of that. So I'm hoping that they would be as interesting as this. And if you've watched the show, especially the season 2 of the UK Love is Blind, if you have gone through it, let me know what you think. Do you think the idea of the show makes sense? Do you think it makes sense? Do you think that you can conclude that Love is Blind just from Kieran and Megan's story? Or what are your thoughts exactly concerning this particular show?